Well, hello there, T.
Welcome back to
Friday Matinee.
And you are?
Tori.
And I am T. And today we don't have George. See, George will usually give you the eyebrow when he wants you to, do the intro. And I pointed, so I threw you off.
Okay. That's okay. Now I know.
Yes.
Point at me again. Let's try it again.
That's right.
Point at me.
Well, so I told you. Okay, here we go.
I'm Tori.
Yeah, there you go. But where are you?
Oh, Friday Matinee.
On what station?
AM 1220.
KHTS. All right, and you can always find Friday Matinee, by the way, if you'd like to get a recap or you missed a portion of the interview earlier. Wonderful author, Robert Mellett. You can find him at R.S. Mellett, M-E-L-L-E-T-T-E. Really fun book, really interesting stuff. Films,
he was a fun guy.
Right? And I know this book is going to be a hoot to read. And, we came to this. I was going to say you can find the podcast at hometownstation.com, the Friday Matinee. You can find all the past segments. We came to this not unlike Robert did. He got out of college. He decided that he wanted to do the acting thing, then got into the writing thing. And the multi-hyphenate here in the Southern California area is a thing now. And it didn't used to be like that. You were one thing, maybe two, and certainly nothing more. And I know my own paternal unit used to say to me, you're like jack of all trades, master of none. And that was a real thing, and it was a problem.
Yes.
And I feel like in today's world, it's less of a problem, and it's more of an asset to be someone who's like the Swiss Army knife of many things.
Very much admired.
Now, you came to radio. I'm going to interview you today. We're going to interview each other.
Okay, sounds great.
How did you come to radio?
Well, I went to college for theater. I love theater. Wanted to be an actress, and I went and I majored the first year in theater. And not that it didn't go well, but I just wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't really enjoying as much.
It takes a certain wiring to really embrace all of it.
A lot of discipline, and you go through a lot of weird exercises. The first couple of years you're in college.
And I'm a Strasberg student, so I know all about the weird exercises.
Right, and I wasn't crazy about it. And I said, you know what? Let me just come home from school. Let me go to a local college, a community college. I lived in Jersey at the time, and I said, let me just dabble. Let me just put a toe in that. Let me get some other stuff going, and maybe something will click. So the toe went into, I had to take a broadcasting class in humanities. It was under the everything is labeled. So under the humanities, I had to take a broadcasting TV radio class, and at the end of the class, you had to be an intern somewhere. And I was rolling my eyes. I said, "Oh no!" But so I got an internship in the news department at a local radio station in New Jersey. When the internship was up, they gave me an A, yay for me, and then said, "We really want you to work here," and hired me.
Did you roll your eyes again, or you blinked?
I didn't. I said, "Where do I sign?"
Right.
And
it's a great environment.
I have not looked back since.
I tell everyone that if they have kids that whether they're a little shy, they need to come out of their shell, or really you will never go wrong taking an acting class, a choir class, something in the fine arts. Because when you do that, you will find something in your soul, whether you go back to those arts for a stress reliever, for entertainment, or an appreciation, or to use in your job. I can't tell you how many times I have acted in a job where I didn't like someone, and then I had to be nice to them. And I think, oh, well, thank goodness for that history that I don't have to be genuine. I just can't, but I could be civil.
Right, exactly.
So there is something to be said for having that in a young person's life and then going on to the experience. And when you were in radio, did you have any icons or any mentors? Nobody.
No, because I was thrown into it. I had to do it. So I had no one. I wasn't really, looking at
you didn't
Diane Sawyer
stylize,
or anybody like that. But I thought, ooh, cool. I did try to build a bridge from acting maybe into TV. I thought, ooh, maybe I could be a TV anchor, and it just didn't work out that way. My path, it was leading toward this whole radio thing. Once I did this job, then another station had
You
heard.
built the ladder.
And I ended up doing absolutely everything in radio. I started in news, and then I became a jock, and then I was one of the youngest jocks on an old-timey standard radio station at 25 years old. And all the other jocks were in their 50s, and I came in doing the midday shift, and they said, who is this young
whippersnapper?
Yeah.
Still one of my favorite words.
And it just grew. And then I went into traffic and weather, and did traffic and weather for so many years. And then I became a hot country jock. And I mean, I've just gone from, this to this to this, but actually did so many different things. And
that makes you a more rounded, better person, I think, when it's all at the end of the day, when you sit in the rolly chair behind the microphone, you've done everything. So you kind of have an appreciation for every other person in this building. I tell a lot of people, it's not just, it is just me or you. We're talking with the other T. This is Tori, who's here now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or I love how you say Tori in for tea when I'm not here. Mm-hmm. The idea that it's not just us behind the microphone and the board, even though there's a large section of our shift that is just us, but we have a tremendous team behind us, all the way from the front desk who does the restaurant row certificates. Yes, you can get those online at hometownstation.com, but why? Or shopkhts.com. You could come here during business hours and really see this fantastic ship that we have here. Then there's the owners, and there's the sales staff, and there's the news team, and there are the interns, and there are the editors. There's the web content guys.
There's our production guy who's just phenomenal.
Everybody here who does their job. And so you, coming through the ranks over the years, you've seen that. So coming to KHTS, I'm sure there are things that are different from being in the big radio stations, but do you find that now that you're here and you're in the rolly chair, it's like, oh, this feels like home. Hometownstation.com means
Absolutely.
I'm part of that home.
Absolutely.
And you're a longtime resident.
I'm 17 years, Stevenson Ranch. And, my daughter, we were so involved in the school system over in our side of Stevenson Ranch and elementary. And then she went to West Ranch High School. And my husband coaches at Hart High. I mean, we've got the bases covered. But if you're talking about here, the great thing about being here is that everyone, I think, sincerely likes everybody else. No one is talking behind someone's back.
No, there's a respect. I read something the other day that said, if you can just give someone their dignity. And I believe that at every level, whether you're in the grocery store with the lady with the cart and the crying kid and full of groceries and the coupons, and you're cheesed, or the person behind you is carrying on, relax. Give her dignity.
Yeah.
And if you can start from that point, and I love this one reason why I'm really glad you're the other T in the rolly chair when I'm not here, you love this valley.
Love it.
This is your home, and hometownstation.com actually means something to you. So I'm glad that I'm sorry for them, those other radio stations that lost you, but super happy that we have you.
We're having so much fun.
It's good time.
And I've said it, and I don't know when I'm going to stop saying it.
Yeah.
But the respect I have for you and George in that chair. So I don't know how I'm going to keep saying it until one day my heart rate doesn't go up so high. I watch it on my Fitbit when I'm in your chair.
You know what you're doing. You see where it's going.
And because if you had a sense of the things you have to watch, you have to talk, watch, press buttons, watch this, maybe get on the computer, turn off the air conditioner. There are so many.
There's so many moving parts.
So many.
And, it was fun the other day. Andrew Delgado, one of our Excalibur staff members, came in, and he was doing the live stream on the Facebook. So a live capture of what was happening here in the room. And I said, oh, it's really, it was fun. He came in high, and it wasn't a busy moment. But I said, really, you need to come around here on this side and show, because it's the board, it's 2 computers, it's multiple traffic sites, it's the telephone, it's making sure that the video cameras are on, and now we have 2, not just 1, making sure that we're recording so that, we can have the podcasts for the editors to take over. And
it's amazing. And
heaven help you if there's more than one traffic incident.
The thing is, T does not sweat. I sweat. I'm looking forward.
Oh, I did when I started.
I'm looking forward to weighing in a month.
My sweat came out through my tears. I cried like a baby for like biblical. It was almost 40 days and 40 nights.
And yesterday was the great part. great, bitter. Should it be bittersweet? I don't know. The calls were coming in because we had the 14 was just crazy, knockout crazy. And so then Sierra Highway was crazy. And the phone calls were going crazy.
And you can't keep up on top of it and keep on top of the computer and keep talking. And I feel you.
And I thought,
I feel you.
I just kept crossing you, saying, I bless her because you don't skip a beat on all of this stuff. And I love that the listeners, by the way, the listeners who call in, I don't know, I'm sure you experience this. They're so nice to me.
They are. We have the best listeners. There was one lady called and yelled at me once, and I cried. I was so upset. And she was. I mean, I've had a few callers where they call in, and it's like, why is the 14 the way it is? Well, I don't know. It is. No, there must be something happening. No, there's not. I'm checking with everybody, and they say no. And she's like, well, you're wrong. I could be, but you're there, so maybe you could tell me what's happening. Well, this is why we moved away from here. Well, I'm sorry. But
and meanwhile, but see, when that conversation is going on, meanwhile, we have to still keep the program running.
Keep the wheels spinning, the plates in the air.
Exactly.
And it is hard, and there have been times, but for the most part, 99.9% of the people who listen and call in are fabulous. And I mean it when I say it. When I say come in, and if I'm here, you're getting a hug. Make sure I know you're there, because I'm so grateful for the people in this valley. It's a remarkable place to be.
And they're starting to get to know my name. They're calling me by name.
I love that.
When they call.
Hi, Tori.
That makes it, but you know what? It makes it feel so great.
It is hometownstation.com.
Exactly.
And we do love that. But it's also a very entertaining town, which is also fun. So being a radio person, you've been radio, talking with our guest earlier, Robert Millett, multi-hyphenate. So you dipped your toe in the acting thing. So going back to that, you're still very involved with the theater group here.
Oh, yeah. Canyon
but
Theater
now
Guild.
now you're wearing a different hat, a different hyphen.
I am.
Talk to me about that.
My acting days have... they're
trust me, you're still acting every now and then. There'll be that one person that will come in and there's that smile.
Canyon Theater Guild, right down the street. My daughter was the first out of the family to get involved, and now she goes to a performing arts college. She's absolutely...
We do grow them good here. Very talented.
She's fabulous, and I feel, when I was her age, I thought I was great. And looking back, there's no comparison. She runs circles. Oh, yeah. However, she was the first one to get involved. Then my husband started. He's an actor, and he started getting involved. And I said, "What's going on? I need to be a part of this." So I've been an assistant director now. I spam a lot last year.
Lovely.
And then this year coming up, I'm very excited. We're ramping up to do The Drowsy Chaperone.
One of my favorite shows. One of my favorite shows. And depending on if I'm thinking, oh yeah, there's like a whole bunch of roles I'd like in that, but I'm getting busy doing other things, thinking of the other hats. So I don't know if I'll get a chance to do that.
That's all right. I'll change your mind.
Well,
I'll get it.
The acting thing is I tell people, whenever you have a creative bone and you think to yourself, all right, I want to do something creative, there's so much more that goes to it. In addition to talent, there has to be a work ethic. There has to be a drive. There has to be self-promotion. There has to be sacrifice. There has to be, the list goes on. And if you don't have all those buttons covered, chances are you might want to look at something else. For a lot of people I know, the sacrifice is not something they can do. Oh, my parents have their, 50th wedding anniversary. I have to be there. Right. I'm that person who will say, yeah, no, I'll send you a video. I've got to go do the job.
Right.
Or it's your birthday and you've got a trip planned. You know what? The trip is important, but we can delay the trip. I'd rather do the job. And some people won't do that sacrifice. Or the work ethic. What? I got to be on a set for 16 hours. I'm only going to get 4 hours of sleep. They do that one time and say, yeah, I'm not doing that again. But if you love it, so all those other elements, there are things. And the acting, I always used to tell I still tell my maternal unit, she'll say, well, aren't you kind of old to do such and such? And my favorite phrase, I want a t-shirt, I'm not dead yet.
Right.
I'm not dead yet. I still have a heartbeat. I'm still viable. I can still work. So you're not dead yet. You might put that hat on yet.
Not dead yet. Doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime too soon.
Well, don't never say never is my point.
Exactly. Now, this is where I want to ask you a question, because we were talking about our author who is just in, who has so much. I don't know how many hats you have. You've got a bunch. You've got a beret. You've got a baseball cap, beanie. I have already read your book, which I just loved, and I know you have another one. Which
now,
you haven't
did you read No Family Tree?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
No Family Tree.
I have a few children's books. No Family Tree is one of my favorites, and you can learn more about it at tkatz.com, or you can find it on amazon.com. No Family Tree. That has a lot of Santa Clarita stories in it. And I started writing because when I was young, I journaled. I grew up in a kind of crazy household, and journaling was the way for me to document. So I have a file in my computer now called Evidence of the Crazy, because I needed evidence of the crazy. Because it helped me sort of lay flat all that was actually happening and sort of disengage to where I can say, well, that happened, but now it's in the book, it's done, it's over. And it was a way to physically compartmentalize. So I started writing. I have the children's books. I started as an actress and a singer. When I was really little, I was that kid who was in every choir known to man in high school. I sang when I was in elementary school. I was the loudest kid. All my report cards, I was loud and she talked too much, which sort of has kind of worked out for me.
It has, yeah.
And I'm finding that as I get older, a lot of the acting, I had put some of that to bed because I had kids. It was really difficult to do everything. It was really hard to put on all those hats, and was still in a crazy house that I documented and journaled. But now I find I'm getting more offers for the acting than I ever got when I was younger, and it's a lot of fun. Maybe it's life experience, maybe it was some of the method acting training that was part of my history.
Now you did Meisner. What did you do?
I did Strasberg. And so I was a method actor when I was a kid. Stanislavski. Okay. I was that kid who was in a building. It used to be located, the Strasberg Institute on Hollywood Boulevard. And I went up this dark, funky staircase and thought, nothing good can come of this. Right. I don't know why they're making me go at 12, 13, 14. But I was a young kid doing all these those exercises you talk about. But I think acting in many ways, acting and performing saved my life, because where I didn't get like nice things at home, I could put on a costume, I could open my mouth, I could go into a recording studio, and I could do something that even if people didn't like it, there was an opportunity for me to, they say people get on stage because they like the applause. For me, it was an opportunity. It's like love. And when you come out of that booth and someone says, wow, that was really great, it makes up for a lot of the sins of the past. So for a lot of the things that happened when I was a kid, it's where I go for my hugs.
Well, I have to tell you, no one is a better. When I read that book, and I had just barely met you. I maybe was training with you for a few weeks, and you gave me a copy, and I went and I read it, and I said, the pages are just, you get sucked in because no one's better at storytelling. You have a way of describing something that is not only completely on point, but you're just so, it's like, what's going on here? I have to turn the page and turn the page. And your book, as we were talking about.
Robert's book, Billy Bobble.
Your book as well. This one, now I do want to read your other one.
Okay.
But it was one of those books where, number one, I didn't feel like it was a kid's book. I didn't feel like it was.
I wasn't writing to the 8-year-old in you.
No, exactly. It was just a great, just a nice.
I appreciate that. The reason I got into it was when I was a kid. One of the first books I read when I was about 10 was A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And that was my favorite book. Francie Nolan was 12 years old in that book, and I was going to be 12. You know how when you're a kid, it's your 10th birthday, you're already almost 12. When you're 9, you're almost 13. And so at 10 years old, I related to her and her story and what was going on in her life, despite the fact that it was a different era. And that book was not written for a 10-year-old, but it was written for 10-year-old me.
Right.
And I feel when I write, I'm not writing for, okay, like as Robert said, I'm not looking in my mind at the 8-year-old around the campfire, gearing my message to that person. I'm telling the story to everyone around the campfire, and maybe someone will have something that they can take away to either share with someone else, relate to, or so. Thank you. That's a huge compliment. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, your storytelling, and I just want to say this, because when I came on and I heard you do the traffic, and the way you are so flowery and you're so poetic about giving
I'm not
these
nuts and bolts.
and when you get, and it's a very different, I think it's a very different experience, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from Tuesday and Thursday now. I think you'll be able to see the difference. We are completely different in that way. And I just loved it. I just would sit here and look at you while you're doing this poetic traffic.
Aww.
And I just tell him, hey, look, 14 is messed up. Sorry. And you go on with it's just beautiful.
I storytell.
Yes,
Yeah. And
beautiful.
and I haven't heard from management whether that's a bad thing or not. And I haven't heard about all the bad emails, but it's just,
I love it.
It's sort of what happens when I open my mouth. I'm sorry.
Completely entertaining. And that's how her books read. And so you have many beanies. You have a hat. You have
I appreciate that.
derby.
The feather and a headband.
Exactly.
You're listening to your hometown. You got me going now. Hometownstation.com. Friday Matinee. Tori, who's the other T in the rolly chair Tuesdays and Thursdays, she is here in the afternoons. I'm here in the afternoons, your afternoon tea. And we try to dispense the information. We try to keep everybody up on what's happening in their valley. And when we say, it's genuine for both of us, when we say we appreciate your phone calls, it's just
really
as much.
do.
We really do. And please know that the Friday Matinee, it is about entertainment. And sometimes being in this chair, being on this side of it, that's really our goal is to, if nothing else, to try to be entertaining so that when because Tori, sometimes there's no traffic every 10 minutes. There's nothing happening.
Yesterday.
What?
But yesterday,
I had George, I think it was George and Kyle. I said to them, I feel like at some level we need crickets for traffic because there's nothing.
I like that.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah.
But yesterday was a different story.
Was it?
And that was when I was hoping I was entertaining because I knew you weren't moving. If you were on that 14, you were not moving to Sierra Highway. And I thought, I hope I'm entertaining people because I know they're just miserable.
Right. And it is. It's a miserable drive sometimes when it's just slow. And I don't like the incidents. I say it over and over. I do not like the incidents. I'm happy to give the information to someone if they can avoid it or they can at least know what's happening. I do not like talking about it, being on this side of the desk and having to read because sometimes we're just giving them just the facts, the facts, ma'am. But we get things like, there's a child involved and there are injuries and
yesterday there was a wrong way driver on the 14 and I couldn't think of anything but the people going in the right direction. Yeah. And it kind of froze me in fear. And I'm trying to do the show and entertain those people only thinking, please don't hit anybody. Please don't hit anybody. And that's what goes through.
And then you want to get in your own car and go and smack that person.
Well,
I don't know what's happening.
I mentioned you yesterday because there was a hit and run, and I said, you're very lucky that T is not here today. I said,
I would have lectured.
Because I said she would have yelled at you.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
You don't do that.
If you hit someone, you take responsibility. You make sure no one's hurt.
Yeah.
And I said, it's your lucky day because T is not here, and you would have gotten it.
And I would have chased them down too because I am that person. Even in my own car, I once had a guy he was mad and he's tailgating and he's honking at me and it's like there's nowhere to go and he's furious because he wants to get around me and he had the unfortunate luck of being in the left-hand turning lane with his window down.
Oh dear.
And me next to him. And I rolled my window down. I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "Excuse me? Where are you going in such a hurry? What's the matter with you?
Yeah, where's the fire?
You've been chasing me for the last 4 miles. What is wrong with you?" And he says, "I'm sorry." And I said, "Don't be." I said, "Are you on your way to work and you're late?" And he goes, "Yeah, and my boss will be mad." I said, "Your boss will be a lot more unhappy if you're dead. So how about you just go late and you can call me. You can tell him that I said so." And I said, "Stop it. Just stop it and be safe wherever you're going. And so he looked at me and he goes, thank you. And I thought, wow, I just hollered at a man. I went home, I told my husband, he goes, you could have been shot. Well, I could have. Yes, I could have. But that man needed to know that he was behaving badly. And really, he needed to be safe and just get to work. And driving like a lunatic wasn't helping.
See, I wasn't wrong about yesterday.
No, you weren't wrong about yesterday. This is Tori and T here on your Friday Matinee. We are very happy you are here. You can find old segments of the Friday Matinee and all of our many, many, many talented guests if you go over to our website, hometownstation.com. We will be back after these messages with our wrap-up. Again, it's a Friday Matinee today with Tori and T on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to your Friday Matinee here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am T.
I'm Tori.
And today we did it a little bit differently in that we don't have George. We're missing George. He had to go do a family thing, and it's always, and you filled in before. It was, Tori in for T.
That's my last name. It's either in for T or in for George.
Very nice. So that's in for George. Yes. In for George. And so it's nice today. We had an opportunity to talk to one of my favorite things in the entertainment field is the multi-hyphenate.
Yep.
And we talked to Billy Bobble, who makes a magic wand. You can find his book at R.S. Mellette, MELLETTE. I had a chance to chat with you to learn more about you now that you're in the Rolly Chair Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I am.
And your vast background in not only radio, but here at the Canyon Theater Guild. Your other hyphen. We learned a little bit about me, whether we wanted to or not, as I'm in the Rolly Chair Monday, Wednesday, Friday, tkatz.com.
Best storyteller ever.
And all of the Friday Matinees you can find on our website, hometownstation.com. All the past podcasts. We're very grateful you listen to us every Friday at noon to 1. The Friday Matinee here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.